I have watched people playing cash flow complain that the right opportunity cards are not coming their way, so they sit there. I know people who do that in real life. They wait for the right opportunity. I've watched people get the right opportunity card and then not have enough money. Then they complain that they would have gotten out of the rat race if they had had more money, so they sit there. I know people in real life who do that also. They see all the great deals, but they have no money. And is keen to get some reading done to start the day with some motivation. We are reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which is a really amazing book. We are in chapter 5, which is very exciting. I am amazed at how fast we're getting through these books. But let's get started. We are on page 182 in the updated version. And here we go. Some people playing cash flow accumulate lots of money in the game, but they don't know what to do with it. Even though they have money, everyone else seems to be getting ahead of them. And that is true in real life. There are a lot of people who have a lot of money and do not get ahead financially. Limiting your options is the same as hanging on two old ideas. I have a friend from high school who now works at 3 jobs. Years ago, he was the richest of all my classmates. When the local sugar plantation closed, the company he worked for went down with the plantation. In his mind, he had but one option, and that was, the old option: work hard. The problem was that he couldn't find an equivalent job that recognized his seniority from the old company. As a result, he is overqualified for the jobs he currently has, so his salary is lower. He now works 3 jobs to earn enough to survive. I have watched people playing cash flow complain that the right opportunity cards are not coming their way, so they sit there. I know people who do that in real life. They wait for the right opportunity. I've watched people get the right opportunity card and then not have enough money. Then they complain that they would have gotten out of the rat race if they had had more money, so they sit there. I know people in real life who do that also. They see all the great deals, but they have no money. And I've seen people pull a great opportunity card, read it out loud, and have no idea that it is a great opportunity. They have the money, the time is right, they have the card, but they can't see the opportunity staring them in the face. They fail to see how it fits into their financial plan for escaping the rat race. And I know more people like that than all the others combined. Most people have an opportunity of a lifetime flash right in front of them, and they fail to see it. A year later, they find out about it after everyone else got rich. And this is really, really true. So the game is a really good reflection on how things work in life. So when you are playing Monopoly, the same things that happen in your real life are going to happen in the game. When you're playing cash flow, the same things that happen in real life are going to happen in the game, because you're making the same choices, you are executing things in the same way, because your brain is programmed to do things in a certain way. So regardless of whether it's real life, whether it's a game, whether it's something else, you're always going to act on the same things. So if you want to change, you have to figure out how to make the change. You can't just think that the environment, the actual game, is going to be different to real life. And so in the game, there is less risk of losing anything because it's just Monopoly money, it's cash flow money. So you're not going to lose anything, but you can actually take a step back and evaluate what's going on. Because in the game, you might be a little bit less emotionally attached than in real life. In real life, we're going to be much more stubborn and hold on to that thought of whatever it is that we already believe in. And so it becomes really important to be able to take that step back so that you can evaluate and have a look at what is going on in your real life so that you can make the change that you need in order to be able to get a different result. Financial intelligence is simply having more options. If the opportunities aren't coming your way, what else can you do to improve your financial position? If an opportunity lands in your lap and you have no money and the bank won't talk to you, what else can you do to get the opportunity to work in your favor? If your hunch is wrong and what you've been counting on doesn't happen, how can you turn a lemon into millions? That is financial intelligence. It's not so much what happens, but how many different financial solutions you can think of to turn a lemon into millions. It is how creative you are in solving financial problems. And rather than doing that in real life, there's a story, I think it comes a bit later in Rich Dad Poor Dad. No, it might be the Cashflow Quadrant. It's book number 2 of Robert Kiyosaki. He buys a property and he makes a huge mistake. Instead of buying the front property with the better view, he buys the one at the back of the building. There are some issues with the building. When he does the final calculations, he finds out that it's not cash flow positive, it's actually cash flow negative. That is extremely stressful and extremely challenging. And so with that emotion of it being real money, the emotions run extremely high and it becomes challenging to see the forest for the trees and find a solution. But Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad tells him that he needs to go back and he needs to find a solution and turn that property around so that it goes from cash flow negative to cash flow positive. And eventually that's what Robert Kiyosaki does. But the easier way of being able to find out financial solutions to challenges is to play cash flow and to have things go wrong. Because maybe 1 every 10 games, you will have a really smooth game where everything goes well. Maybe 4 or 5 times, it will go horribly wrong. And 3 times or 4 times, it will go okay, but there are a couple of challenges. If you can get through the challenges in the game, there is less emotional buy-in, and you can actually use your brain to start figuring out how to solve certain challenges. So if you find a property that you want to buy, but you don't have the money, now you have the opportunity of being able to experiment with different ways of doing that. You can have a talk to somebody else at the table and find out what they are doing in order to be able to get that deal. There might be other alternatives. And so playing the game, you're going to be able to learn more and more about different solutions to certain challenges that you will also face in real life. So the game is the perfect incubator for ideas. It's the perfect incubator for being able to come up with those ideas and learn from other people in a less emotionally charged place. Because once you're doing it in real life, and once you're faced with challenges, the brain just shuts off when there is too much stress. So we need to stay calm and we need to find a way to do it in a less emotionally charged atmosphere so that the brain is still functioning and you can think about potential solutions to the challenge. Also, you're surrounded by other people who might have ideas. Very often when people are playing cash flow, they will just be quiet and think that they have to solve it all on their own because it's a competition between them and everybody else at the table. That doesn't have to be the case. So it is really good if you can find opportunities to play games like Cashflow that are going to give you the chance to experience real life in a simulated environment so that you can take that step back and learn when the stakes are a lot less high. Let's have a look. Here we go. Most people only know one solution: work hard, save, and borrow. And some people will come to Cashflow and do the same thing. They will keep playing the exact same way and repeat it over and over again. But playing Cashflow, playing board games that simulate real life, especially something that's going to simulate finances and being able to create wealth and passive income and cash flow, is going to give you the opportunity to experiment with and play with new ideas of doing things without suffering any financial drawbacks. So you can use a different strategy. You can see what happens if you risk it all. You can see what happens if you maybe do a deal with somebody else, for example. There are so many different things that you can do. There are a million ways of structuring a joint venture deal, for example, with somebody else in the game. And so you can practice all of these different scenarios and figure out what works and what doesn't without losing your life savings. And that is so important. Because you want to be the kind of person who creates your own luck, you take whatever happens and make it better. Few people realize that luck is created just as money is. And if you want to be luckier and create money instead of working hard, then your financial intelligence is important. If you are the kind of person who is waiting for the right thing to happen, you might wait for a long time. It's like waiting for all the traffic lights to be green for 5 miles before you start your trip. As young boys, Mike and I were constantly told by my rich dad that money is not real. Rich Dad occasionally reminded us of how close we came to the secret of money on that first day we got together and began making money out of plaster of Paris. The poor and middle class work for money, he would say. The rich make money. The more real you think money is, the harder you will work for it. If you can grasp the idea that money is not real, you will grow richer faster. What is it? Was a question Mike and I often came back with. What is money if it's not real? What we agree it is, was all Rich Dad would say. The single most powerful asset we have is all in our mind. If it is trained well, we can create enormous wealth seemingly instantaneously. An untrained mind can also create extreme poverty that can crush a family for generations. In the information age, money is increasingly exponential. A few individuals are getting ridiculously rich from nothing, just ideas and agreements. If you ask many people who trade stocks or other investments for a living, they see it done all the time. Often, millions can be made instantaneously from nothing. And by nothing, I mean that no money was exchanged. It's done via agreement, a hand signal in a trading pit, a blip on a trader screen in Lisbon from a trader screen in Toronto and back to Lisbon. A call to my broker to buy and a moment later to sell. Money did not change hands, agreements did. And this is actually very, very interesting because, as I mentioned in a previous video, there were 2 advertisements in a newspaper for 2 jobs. The 2 jobs were 100% identical. They had the same tasks, the same requirements, the same title. Everything was 100% same on both pages, except for one was advertising the job for $50,000 per year payment. The other one was $100,000 per year payment. The people that had a $50,000 per year mindset applied for the $50,000 job, even though they had the qualifications, the skills, and knew how to implement the tasks for this $100,000 job. So our mind is what creates money. Money is an idea. It's an energy. It's something that we can produce. It's something that we can make to disappear. And it's all done through our energy, our mindset, our feeling. It's many different things that is extremely hard to explain. But you see people who suddenly become very wealthy. You see people who stay in a challenging position for a very long time. And sometimes it can be a very small change. But one of the things that you can do in order to be able to make that change is, for example, play cash flow and experiment with different things and create things in your life that are going to make you feel wealthier. So I'm actually creating an online video series at the moment for the subscribers of the people that come to my Cashflow Club. And one of the things that I am teaching them is about how much to invest. And in that video, which is almost ready, by the way, I talk about a JAR system, having a long-term savings account, having a financial freedom account. But one of the other accounts that I have 5 in total, well, 6 if you count the transaction account. One of those accounts is called the Play account. And in that Play account, I put a certain amount of money every single week. And that money is used towards things that make me feel wealthy. It might be, I think we mentioned this in yesterday's video, actually. It might be going to a restaurant that I have not been to before that is a little bit more pricey than the ones that I might usually go to. It could be an experience that I want to do that is a little bit out of the norm. It could be a helicopter flight, something similar to that. Or it could be something as simple as splurging at the supermarket on something that you would otherwise never buy. So you want to make sure that obviously it's inside the budget of that Play account, but you want to spend it indiscriminately. And as you do that, you want to enhance that feeling that you're feeling, that you have reached a new level. And it's that feeling that can make all the difference. It's that feeling that tells your brain that you are open to and willing to receive more money. It's similar to an exercise that I get clients to do all the time. I get them to go window shopping. And when they are looking at something that they'd like to have that is too expensive for them, I'll get them to have a look at that. And rather than saying that's expensive, I'll get them to say that it's affordable. Now, the reason this works is because our brain turns anything that we say or ask ourselves into reality. Our brain's a little bit like Google. If we ask a question, our brain will look for the answer throughout the day. So if I ask, how can I make my partner more happy? Then my brain is working on that constantly throughout the day and looking for opportunities. All of a sudden, I might look to the left and see a florist. And I've walked past this florist 1,000 times. But this is the first time that I've actually noticed it. And the reason is because I ask myself how I can make my partner more happy. My brain is on the case. It is going to look for opportunities to answer that question. And it will give me the search result, which is the florist. I can then buy some flowers and make my partner more happy. So the same thing applies to finances. When I look at something and I say that it's expensive, my brain says that must be a true statement. I must find a way to make that reality. And so it will look for ways to sabotage me from having more money. It will look for ways to stop me from being able to buy it because it is too expensive. I have to make it expensive. But if I look at something and I look at everything that I want to be able to have and I call it affordable, now I might not even go out and get it because it's not that important to me, or I'll realize later on that it's not really something that I want. A lot of people buy really fancy cars and then they realize after they've had it for a few weeks that the novelty is over and they never really wanted it. But the power lies in being able to see things as affordable rather than expensive. Okay, I'm going to leave it there for today. We went a little bit philosophical at the end there, which I think was very interesting. And I hope you enjoyed that as well. And I'd love to know what you think and see what your experiences with that are. So some people will go out and implement that. Some people will not go out and implement that strategy and see what happens. And this is where cash flow can be so important, because you have the ability to implement things that you otherwise wouldn't, with no consequences. Going window shopping and looking at something and saying to your mind that it's affordable as opposed to expensive doesn't cost you anything, and it's worth the experiment and it's worth testing, I suppose. So I would love to know what you think of that. So first of all, if you would like to watch more of these videos and if you've missed some chapters, then feel free to go to the Passive Cashflow Club on YouTube. You can find us there. You can find all the previous videos. Make sure you hit subscribe, because we also have those other videos, such as the one that I'm making at the moment on how much you should be investing, which is a question I get asked a lot, so that you know when videos like that get uploaded. I'd love to hear your comments and get to know you a little bit more through YouTube, so feel free to do that, the Passive Cashflow Club. If you'd like to know more about the game of Cashflow and the game that I run, and Laden's joined me on Zoom, if you'd like to have a look at the online version that we've created, which takes the game of Cashflow and adds even more realism so that you can implement more of those things that I was telling you about, even more advanced strategies, understanding taxation and different things like this, understanding how the finances work behind the scenes, you can come and play with us and test out all of these different things. And I will guide you in some of these things that I was talking about in today's video that can help you to shift your mindset around this imaginary, illusionary thing called money. So you can reach out to me on Instagram. You'll find me there at business_team_6_official. And I would love to get to know you. Feel free to send me a private message. If you're interested in cash flow, let me know, and I'll make sure that my virtual assistant sends you the details so that you can come and join us and you can start experimenting with and learning how to come up with financial solutions so that you can get ahead and change whatever it is that you are doing right now that is not getting you to the action or to the results that you want, so that you can start taking actions that will take you to the results that you want. And it is a very, very risk-free environment to be able to do that, and less emotionally charged, so you can actually come up with better solutions. So I would love to see you for that. I want to say thank you very much for joining today. I'm looking forward to a reading for you again tomorrow, Sydney time, 8 a.m. Go out and work on your goals, because you have some really valuable things that you can achieve when you make money and use it for greater good. So have a great day, and I'll see you all tomorrow.